keeps, not for fun. All alone with your peeps, so one-on-one.
This is the game where everybody in traffic hates you, so it's rated M due to the graphic nature. State your nickname, hood, gang, rank, and business before we leave your body stinking. You can't get a witness of who they thinking that did this. It's best not to know. If your name is on my shit list, then you got to go. Cross my path, you gon' take a blood bath and a mud nap. I slug half of your mug back. Thugs spit hubcaps, wide shots and beach heat. Hot rocks on every block, coke killers on each street. Danger on every corner, scum at every turn. The pressure is heavy on you, but some just never learn what the SC means. So it's best that I warn you. South Central, straight Compton, and Southern California. Survival class, I thought you knew it. Crime is the order of the day, and we stay true to it.
The crime, if you can't do the time, stay pushing the line in the paint on the grind. Play the game for keeps, not for fun. All alone with your peeps, so one-on-one. Cause I don't do the crime if I can't do the time. I stay pushing the line in the paint on the grind. I play the game for keeps, not for fun. All alone with my peeps, so one-on-one.
It's true crime. True crime.
These are the times that try men's souls. Times of portent.
So you want to fight in the games? Do you have what it takes? Different warriors are like animals. Some are fast and deadly, like the snake. Others are slow but strong, like the bear. Know each warrior well.
I want to get out of here and see the world. Take me with you to the tournaments.
Then let's leave this place. We battle as one!
It is now time to use what you've learned.
So you have finally accepted your destiny.
No problem.
You've got trouble.
Flock, get down!
You got it.
Receiving headquarters. Commencing.
Proceed to the comm center and consider all occupants hostile. You're on your own, soldier. Don't disappoint me.
Commencing.
The more time you have left at the end, the cooler you look. Final checkpoint!
Okay, read him his rights, Hutch. Anything you might want to say, loser?
I ain't saying nothing to you cops. I know what happens to squealers.
He's going AWOL.
This time, our two cops get lucky. The driver squeals a name. He says he got the car from a guy named Little Louie.
Omega-19 is our most persistent and dangerous terrorist threat, Nikki. But they're changing tactics.
We've learned that Henrik Van Cleef, an illegal arms dealer, is also an active Omega-19 agent.
What's his security like?
Ex-Special Forces types, backed up by a sophisticated security system. It won't be easy.
And Van Cleef?
Kill him.
5 minutes to insertion.
I'm in.
I trusted you. You repay all that by spying and plotting against me?
Please, Mr. Van Cleef. I'm sorry. They gave me no choice. Please, don't kill me.
I'm not gonna kill you. They are.
With pleasure, boss.
Not here. Not like
Waste
this.
them.
Sounds like they've been tipped off.
Yeah, seems that way.
What the hell was that?
I suggest you stay here until we've dealt with this.
Don't be stupid, man. It's me they're after.
Target located.
Corporation, an arm of the most powerful conglomerate on Earth, has been performing secret experiments in their base on Mars, tapping into the very fabric of the universe itself and beyond. UAC scientists have made discoveries that will forever change human existence. Then something went terribly wrong.
sure? Yeah.
The dirt and return fire, Alpha.
Bravo team, move to the wall.
Go, go.
せ通りに行くぞ。
トップ3先行して偵察を頼む。
はい。
トップ2は俺と陣地のダッシュだ。
はい、隊長。
こちらフォックス4、攻撃地点の確保に向かいます。
トップ5はどうする？
俺も一緒に行くよ。援護がいるだろ。
助かるね。
こちらフォックス3、今から敵の無線を傍受します。
ここは逃げればいい。残りは自分で使って了解。
なるほどね。隊長、 こっちの守備隊はビッグに開けないよ。
了解。手薄なうちに陣地を落とすぞ。
気づかれた。隊長、気づかれました。敵と交戦中。
トップ3偵察型で武装するぞ。すぐに行くぞ。トップ2がピッチだ。急ぐぞ。
はい。隊長、後ろから敵が。
読まれてた。敵にも偵察型がいるのか。
ここは私が食い止めます。隊長はフォックス3を助けて。
すまない。
ちょっと。
トップ3大丈夫か。
助かったわ。
こちらフォックス4、攻撃地点の確保に成功しました。
フォックス4、いいところに。そこから B3 地点の陣地へ砲撃できるか。
もちろん。
でかいやつはぶち込みますか。急いでくれ。了解。
オラオラオラ。
あ、逃げる。
逃がすか。捕獲してやるよ。
悪いな。
作戦終了。
Crisis 3.
Welcome to a new kind of fishing game.
Birkin number. That's how many kudos points each driver is earning by making moves such as power slides and getting up on two wheels and doing a clean pass on another driver. And you rack up points for doing each of those moves without smashing into any walls. Basically a clean maneuver, you win points.
What's your name? So you're doing well here with racing. Did you have any strategy on that?
No, not really. Just
Have you been playing?
just the third time.
Third time. Wow. Well, congratulations on moving ahead.
Available for all you ladies? Horn dog, please. He's had a couple, people. He's had a couple. Please do not try this at home.
Me, I had a taste of RPGs with Magic and Mayhem. It was kind of a game we made, which was kind of a real-time strategy game. It kind of it organically developed into an RPG, and I got that first taste of it. Really enjoyed it. I've personally always liked RPGs, but specifically the big ones. I've played Zelda and Final Fantasy, so the opportunity to do Sadeki, which, in these early days had those kind of real strong kind of manga influences, and it just looked like something new and interesting to do. So there was no choice about whether to attempt to do the game or not. It's just, as an ambitious person, you just go for it. And I think the company perspective, for a long time, Climax has been looking for that really big game, and they've for a long time had the skills and experience to do it. We've been in the industry a long time doing console stuff. The story is kind of influenced by traditional RPG in many senses, but we kind of add contemporary aspects with humour that's kind of quite modern and based around 4 heroes who have this history that ties in with these gods of the past. Unknown to you as you start the game, you are the 4 heroes working through the game to kind of unravel the deceit and that's going on in the world and help join them together. And the power of the gods kind of lingers around in characters, these massive spirit-strike demons that each of the heroes can summon to help them during combat situations. So they're all kind of linked, but it's not known to the player at the start that they are linked. So the plot unveils with this kind of twists and turns, and you gradually find out the whole story as the game goes on, and eventually kind of to its conclusion at the end. I don't really want to give away, but it is quite like you say, quite traditional RPG, but we introduce a lot of humour elements with the 2 girls, the 2 sexy girls, both have a little bit of a thing for one of the main characters. The emphasis has always been on the control of the party, so at any point during combat or any point during any location, you can switch between the characters dynamically in your party at the time. The other characters will follow you around at all times, and they'll be there, and quite often they'll interact as well together, or they'll interact during kind of some of the movies that explain some of the story. They'll be there, and kind of depending on which one you've got selected as well, you'll get different responses from the NPCs that you talk to. But during combat, anytime during combat scenario, you can switch from one character to the other, and each character's got its own advantages in combat, so the choice of which character you're controlling is often quite important. But then you've got the other characters that are on AI control, and you've even got control over them through the AI states. So at any point during the game, you can quickly bring up the menu, change the AI behaviour of one of the other characters to, for instance, Tal, the swordsman. At any point during the game, you can just tell him to be a blood brother, which is one of his AI states. And his blood brother state he'll attack any enemy that you've got targeted at the moment. Like he's your blood brother, he'll fight with you. At any point you can just change him to defend you. So any enemy that comes near you that you haven't got targeted, he will slay for you. Or you can set him on Juggernaut mode where he'll just go in for the biggest enemy in the room. That kind of quick control has been fundamental to the game. We've got a very fast-paced game. And we want you to be able to feel that you're in control of the party all the time. So we've made the choice to keep the AI decisions very simple. So each character out of the 4 has 4 AI states. And they're very simple: retreat, blood brother, Juggernaut. And out of those states, each of those 4 states are unique to each character as well. So we kind of convey the character's personality through his AI state. About 250 in the whole game. Each of them is a completely unique character. They have unique animations and the conversations with the NPC. Each one has its own personality, and they'll be recorded by a separate actor. And the actors that we have kind of give a lot of personality to the characters. So there's a lot of kind of personality in all of the NPCs in the game. We've kind of really put a lot of emphasis on that, and particularly with kind of we've got a broad range of accents in the game, particularly European and American accents as you go through the game. So you get to kind of get a lot of feeling of the whole world as you travel around the game. You'll get various different accents from character to character as well, which has been quite interesting. Absolutely real time. Absolutely, it's been a complete focus for the game. I mean, often to try and keep it a traditional RPG, we've obviously wanted to give the player strategic choices to make during combat. And there are a lot of traditional elements in a combat system as well. So there's different types of damage that you can do. You can do piercing damage or slashing damage, and the enemies can do that to you as well. So you can have armor that protects you against slashing damage. It's not particularly good against piercing damage. So your choice of armor is important, and your choice of weapon, and your choice of attack. So all of these decisions you have to make, and there's elemental damage involved as well. So you've got fire, wind and water damage. We've wanted to give player the choice to change armor during combat, change weapons during combat, change AI state during combat, or choose from one of the strategic skill moves or the spirit strike moves during combat. So obviously we understand that they're having to think about that while they're playing. But we don't want to pause the game. We want it to be flowing in real time all the time. So we have to make a lot of kind of careful decisions about it. And one of the really big decisions that's really helped the game be quite unique is the kind of quick menu system. We have this quick menu. You fire it just by pressing one button. It brings up this sub menu and you're still viewing the motion while it's going on. So the combat doesn't stop when you bring up the menu. It carries on in slow motion. So you've got the flexibility there to be able to combine the information that you're getting as a player in a traditional sense, but still keep it flowing in real time and fast paced, which is what we feel kind of keeps this game completely fresh as an RPG experience. It's completely fast and smooth and motion all the time during combat. Apart from obviously the armor that you collect as you go throughout the game, the weapons that you collect and the items that you collect, the kind of statistics that the characters have that you develop and you choose to develop as the game goes on. So you have strength, speed, you have wisdom, and these things kind of improve your skills. Your magical skills will be boosted by your wisdom, or your typical damage weapons will be boosted by your strength, and your agility will slightly improve your speed during combat. They're developable on all of the characters, but you can also develop the characters' resistances to elemental damage, or you can develop the characters' resistances to the statuses, which are quite fundamental to the strategy of the combat as well. There are kind of statuses like poison, where you're kind of losing health over time, or slow, for instance, where your character's reduced into kind of a slow motion state, so you're less effective during combat. And the enemies can cause these statuses, so it's quite key to get used to which enemies cause which statuses. And so the characters can develop their resistances against those statuses as well. So you kind of, if you know, for instance, that you've developed Tal's resistance against slow, or Tal's resistance against poison, and you're in a situation when you're fighting against lots of enemies that have got poison, you may choose to control Tal because you know you've developed this resistance against, and let the AI control the other characters. And then you may choose to set the other characters on retreat so they generally stay out of the way and just fight your way through with Tal. They're fantasy based. It's fair to say that pretty much all the weapons are fantasy based. I mean, some of Velko's guns are quite traditional guns. He's got a Colt 45. Most of his guns are kind of techno-scientist make-ups that he's made himself. And Ailish's weapons are all staffs of varying different sorts. Tal's are all swords, he's the swordsman, and Buki's are these kind of claws that kind of increase in size as she unsheathes them from the sides of her legs. So they all have this single weapon type. We explored the idea of kind of allowing them to use different weapon types. It just put another choice in the player's mind, and you know, we come back to the fact that it's quite a fast-paced combat system, and there's a lot for the player to think about already. This game hasn't got any Xbox Live compatibility, but it's certainly in all of the plans for the sequel that are certainly being concepted at the moment and thought about, taking into account the Xbox Live and multiplayer aspects that a lot of people have asked for in the game. The style's been really held true to throughout the whole game's development, although the style's developed to become more mature as the game's gone on. It was a more cutesy in the early days, and we've kind of gone for a much more mature style to the characters and that, so they've developed a lot over the time. We're expecting 35 hours, and kind of predicted that. We've made some assessments on the amount of time it's taken to play levels through the usability studies and stuff like that. So we're predicting about 35 hours at the moment. We expect you to meet all 4 characters within the first hour, but you won't necessarily get to experience combat with all 4 of those characters within the first hour. So we'll be introducing the characters to you so you can learn them gradually as the game goes on.
Midtown Madness 3, the 3rd installment in the legendary Madcap Racing series, known for diverse vehicles, detailed cities, and diving pedestrians. But one man stands above all others in the secret art of motion capture. Join us now, behind the scenes.
All right, everybody, we're back in. Back to 1. Pictures up and settle.
All right, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Paris. The sun is out. The Eiffel Tower is shining. We're all just walking through our day, not expecting anything to happen. Vive la France, all the rest of it. Let's do it.
Roll camera.
Camera speed. Paris diver pedestrian, take 32. Marker.
Cue background. Cue vehicle.
And action. Cut.
What's the problem?
Who is that guy?
Brian the Grip.
Who?
Well, he's been here all week. He's been wearing the same shirt.
I don't recognize him. Look, I don't know what my motivation is for the scene.
What your motivation is, there's a car coming to you and you're trying to dive out of the way.
Yeah, but I don't see the car. There is no car yet for me, okay?
What?
I don't
he's got
see
the
it.
bumper.
That is not a car. That is a guy with lights on his hat.
We can't get a whole car in here.
That would be wonderful. Couldn't you?
No, we can't.
I can't dive until I see a car!
Mike, come back here.
Figure it out!
People think that being a motion capture artist is easy. Anyone can dive. Oh, sure, just dive? No. You've got to see the car coming at you. Driving toward you. 2 tons of raw steel. And you see it. And at the last moment, bam, you're out of the way. That's motion capture.
Michael White is,
He's an artist, a genius, really. Does he create problems on the set? Yes. Is he difficult to work with? Yes. Is he difficult to direct? Yes. Is he difficult on the crew? Yes. Has he made me question why I'm in this business? Yes.
See, I know about talent. Did you see him in Project Gotham Racer as a driver? It was emotional, man. You got to keep tissues there, and one hand driving and one trying to wipe a tear.
He's like, you know, a Bobby De Niro or a KS, Kevin Spacey, when it comes to researching a role and acting a role. A man who's dedicated to his craft, who really observes the subtle nuances of life in motion. He spends massive amounts of time out on location, out doing research, watching people move. That's what he likes to do. Was The Shark difficult for Steve Spielberg when he made Jaws? Yeah, it was, but look at the results.
I got into this business because of my father, Mo White. He was a pioneer. He did Space Invaders, Pong, Donkey Kong, everything. It was from his first name, Mo, that the term mocap came about, as a tribute to his early work.
Ever since even his daddy, you know, he had it too, like in Pitfall, when he got ready to go drop down in the alligators. There's a certain point where you can see his full body extension down there. Now, it took them, from what I understand, 3 or 4 days before they got that right.
In the old days, it would take 3 people to do what Michael's doing. You needed someone to walk, you needed someone to run, and you needed someone to dive out of the way of the car. 3 separate people. Michael was the first person to really integrate those 3 things into one.
You know, you take that NBA Inside Drive 2003. I mean, he's got moves in there that they've never seen before in basketball. Well, he's an innovator. He's innovating it. And he's innovating that ball and his body and integrally putting himself with the ball, and it's just like it's all a part of him. It's like even though that ball leaves his hand momentarily, it's still hooked to him energetically.
People take it for granted, really, because it looks so effortless, and that's all Michael. You'd see it if it were an ordinary person. If we could split the screen and show Michael jumping out of the way of the car, and you took somebody like my grandmother, and you had her jump out of the way of the car, you would see the difference, you know. And my grandmother, at 85, is very athletic. Sometimes I think that Truffaut possesses me because I speak with a French accent in the shower.
All right, everybody, places, we're back.
All right, everybody, today's the day. We're gonna get this done.
I want you to close your eyes, all right? Close your eyes, trust me. Imagine you're a French artist. You decide to go for a walk. Listen to your muse. You walk past a boulangerie. You take in the smells. Suddenly you're inspired. You decide that you're going to cross the street.
And roll everything.
Ooh la la.
And action.
They don't have an Academy Award for mocap, but they should. I've been practicing my speech. But until then, I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, what I can do. Because I just love games. I love games.
C'est comme quoi?
Achieving a seamless transition between space and ground combat requires some intricate programming. The producers, designers, and programmers at Warthog were ready and able to do just that.
The talent that they've got at Warthog was able to overcome a lot of difficulties with loading large amounts of data, with coping with very different sets of movement and physics, and this kind of challenge is one that, like I say, Warthog had a lot of talented people working on and managed to overcome.
We wrote all the technology from the ground up. We're really incorporating two gameplay styles in one, so it's almost like creating two games.
It's the seamless transition, that's our big selling point. It's not just a gimmick either, it's a great part of the game. Fly around in space, run around in first person, it's all seamless, and it's the first time it's been done.
A large part of the game is first-person shooter. We didn't want to alienate first-person shooter fans by making the space too much of a simulation, so we tried to keep both parts of the game very arcadey, very easy to pick up and play.
The biggest issue is that of balancing. So you've got ships in space with very powerful weapons and guys on the ground with relatively weak weapons. So you've got a guy with a pistol, there's no way he's going to be able to take out a craft. You fly in there, they're going to be shooting at you with a pistol. It's pretty ineffective. The reverse is worse. So if you've got a drone or an enemy ship flying into a hangar and it's full of, say, the Rangers, a big problem with that is that he just fires one shot, takes out the entire room. For the player ship, we've had to try and put in gameplay mechanics so that you can't just fly into a hangar and take everybody out in the hangar.
There's 12 levels in the game, varying in size. All of those levels feature both ground and space action. We've got really quite a lot of space action in some of them, and on others it's more a case of just flying around, investigating the area and landing the ship, but there is space action in all 12 of those levels.
Another challenge when developing a game with space and ground action is creating a controller that functions the same in both worlds.
What we have managed to do is actually keep the buttons in the same place, and like firing a gun is the same as firing a laser, and kind of steering your ship is the same as steering moving in the direction you want to walk about on the ground.
It's what people have been waiting for. I play Space Combat Sims quite a lot. You'd get, it was the next step. It's what you wanted to do, wouldn't it be cool if I could land my ship on its planet, run around, and we've gone and done it.
The one thing I really want gamers to know about this game is that there's been a lot of work and a lot of effort that's gone into the title to create a completely seamless ground and space-based combat experience.
What inspired Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter was a number of different things which come from things like novels, films, and other games. We were inspired by the Western movies of Sergio Leone and the characters created by Clint Eastwood.
We just wanted the classic movie hero, no nonsense, a man of few words but a man of action. Kind of saw him as like Lee Marvin, Point Blank. He's a man with a mission. He's going to find out who betrayed him.
This isn't the kind of career you go to school for. It's not the kind of job that you choose. It picks you.
We wanted a very kind of broody, enigmatic, kind of solitary hero who was basically out for revenge.
Mace is a good action hero because of his motives. He's really pushed on by the fact that he's been framed for something he didn't do, and he's lost a huge part of his life. The vengeance and revenge side of things, we wanted to portray that in his sort of persona because that's a big part of the game.
I think Mace is a good action hero because he's old school, he's no nonsense. It's like, Humphrey Bogart, no nonsense. You know what you're going to get.
The action heroes that I like tend to have kind of two sides to them. They're obviously doing the right thing, and they're on the side of good and truth and justice, if you like. But they have a darker edge to them. The same applies to Mace in our game. He has a bit of a darker, grittier edge to him, which I think is quite important.
We wanted a character that really portrayed those features in the game, and we wanted him to match the personality that the story is based around.
It's been a long, torturous tease, but after a final tweak and polish, Brute Force is ready to come out and play. Brute Force is an action-adventure, set in the 24th century, at a time when the human race has colonized the furthest reaches of the Milky Way. Your warriors are so skilled that their DNA is remotely stored, in case they die on the job. The game begins with you controlling a lone commando, a mean and feisty hombre called Tex. As the game progresses, a gruffly courageous reptile called Brutus and then a willowy stealth expert called Hawk join your team. The final addition is a cyborg sniper babe called Flint, and it's once all four start working together that the game starts to reveal itself as a crowd-pleasing combination of combat strategy and bloody sci-fi action. You've got search and destroy missions, assassinations and rescues taking place over 6 worlds. While the combat situations are varied, the action can feel a bit samey. But what marks this adventure out from most other games is the way you can simply plug in another controller and instantly have a mate fighting alongside you.
Build the pack and populate it with dinosaurs. Lots of dinosaurs. This will be the greatest theme park in the history of the world. Your job is to keep the park gates open. Prove to InGen that the park is viable and safe.
Code Red, this is Park Control. Raptor breakout in Sector 32.
The latest milking of the Jurassic Park franchise gives you the chance to raise a fully fledged dinosaur theme park from the acorn of uninhabited tropical grasslands. Your aims are simple: build the biggest and loudest tourist attraction around and earn a huge pile of dough.
How can I help?
You need to send your archaeologist teams on digging expeditions for dinosaur fossils and tinker with ways of making the Jurassic experience as pleasurable and safe as possible for the sightseers. Common sense naturally comes into play. Attempt to separate a band of meat-guzzling badass dinosaurs by a paltry 2-foot fence and expect a tourist bloodbath on your hands. There are also many other unpredictable elements stirred into the mix. Tornadoes, disease and dinosaur battles all combine catastrophically. This is a relatively good simulation that overcomes a limited selection of buildings and rides with attention to detail and the added excitement of dinosaurs. Billed as the fastest race on Earth, IndyCar Series is every bit as intense as you might expect. Catapulting yourself around an oval track at speeds in excess of 230 miles an hour, surrounded by up to 32 other cars, certainly isn't for the faint-hearted. At this breakneck velocity, corners come thick and fast, and the slightest mistake will cost you dear. Think you're a good driver? You'd better be. The speed is frighteningly real, and the physics are all spot on. Why, you can almost feel the G-force pushing you back into your chair as the smell of burning rubber on baking asphalt creeps up your nostrils. The sense of your car's speed, coupled with the sheer aggression of other cars, is guaranteed to keep your eyes glued to the screen in deep concentration. IndyCar Series is easy to play, yet ferociously difficult to master. You'll need to hone your technical skills and tinker with tyre pressure and dampers to squeeze out every last drop of performance. Even non-Indy racing fans will appreciate its speed and intensity, but it's not an easy game. So if you want a mindless arcade speedster, look elsewhere. However, if real-life racing tactics and pit lane tomfoolery float your boat, this is just about as good as it gets. How the hell do you make a game out of wakeboarding? It's just someone on a surfboard being pulled along by a speedboat, like they wanted to go surfing but were too lazy. Maybe you can make a good video game out of anything if you do it well. And part of what makes Wakeboarding Unleashed a sparkling game to wade through is the prettiness of the water. It ripples and rolls, and the wake left behind the speedboat is a thing of beauty. They've managed to make being dragged around by a boat on a piece of rope as entertaining as virtually possible. But it still doesn't compare to the endless freeform intensity offered by Tony Hawk's. At last, somebody's figured out what's fun about superbikes. They're sexy, but that's not it. They're so fast, car drivers can't begin to understand. You have to feel it to know. But that's not it either. No, they're fun because they flatter your lunacy, adore being abused, and incite behaviour more stupid than you ever knew yourself capable of. Working through the championship mode unlocks faster rides, but even the lowliest will leave the road, stand up on either wheel, or deck its pegs at the slightest provocation. There's a good range of maniacal stunts, and the carefree flow of the rider animations make them very satisfying to pull off. The power down move is inspired too. Think speeding movie hero confronted by an articulated lorry. He'll throw the bike onto its side and slide underneath. If you don't, you'll crash in spectacularly painful fashion. Mind you, all the crashes are painful, half for being so clearly unsurvivable, and the other half for being the result of some slightly dodgy collision detection. Traffic collisions are unforgiving, which makes cars turning into your path at the very last minute even more annoying. Frequently, dingy levels and dull-looking cars don't help either, especially as many lurk right on the line through blind bends. Many courses feel like 15-year-old arcade efforts. So the game's a mess, but the joy's still there. There's plenty of fun balancing the frustration, and it's a great idea mostly pulled off with verve. And we can't help thinking a sorted sequel could be one of the best games on Xbox. You probably won't need much filling in on what Enter the Matrix is about. As the ultimate film tie-in, the game slots in with the plot of the latest sequel, Matrix Reloaded, and puts you in the slow-motion shoes of hackers Niobe and Ghost. The game mixes the various kinds of action as seen in the films, which is essentially fighting, shooting, driving, and a bit of flying. Much has been made of the fact that the game contains an hour's worth of especially shot film footage. And it's a nice supplement for those gamers that visit the beach in a trench coat and shades and want every piece of Matrix verse they can sink their upload cables into. Unfortunately, the film footage jars against the game's inadequate graphics engine. Someone had the clever idea of using the footage to represent the real world, with all the in-Matrix shenanigans represented by animated cutscenes. It doesn't work. The controls are awkward, with some questionable button placement and a camera that flits between perspectives. But that's not the only stumbling block. The limited combat has its good-looking moments, but the moves are so repetitive. And then there's the uninspiring scenery. Oh goody, another grey warehouse to explore. The entire package feels like it's trying to be all and ends up as none. One reprieve is the added hacking mode, which sets you up with a DOS-like prompt screen, just like a hacker from the movies. With this extra mode you can hack into your save game and plunder hidden secrets. It's a great little concept, but doesn't quite manage to save this uninspired game. Snooker's one of the best games you can watch on the telly. Fact. OK, it's not the spectacle that football is, but it's fantastically pleasing to both the eyes and ears. Overall, this is a chill-out lecture in physics.
Touching ball.
World Championship snooker is both smooth and enjoyable. Choose your player or create your own, then huddle around the TV to take your shot at the table. It's only then that you realise the visuals, quite frankly, are crap. The menus are clunky and the loading times seem too long.
Well, there's the break. Let's settle down and enjoy the match.
It looks like a red will go on the cluster here. One. What a lovely pot. Well, should be no problems for the next red.
The reds are well spread. There's a big break on here.
24.
Sounds like somebody in the crowd has forgot to turn that mobile phone off. Yes, he does that by hitting one of the other referees.
Despite its shaky front end, this game is full of thoughtful stuff, such as the option to skip the lengthy moments when your computer opponent is making his break, or the guiding arrows that allow you to get an idea of where the balls are going to go, but not too much, forcing you to learn some judgment and skill. At heart, it's a damn fine snooker game, and one that'll last as long as your interest in break building. Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick is a gore-soaked outing that lets you impale zombies on chainsaws, ram sticks of dynamite into their gaping mouths, and then watch as they explode in a shower of body parts. If that's not fun, we don't know what is.
Okay, everybody lie down on the ground and nobody's gonna get hurt. Oh God, no, stop!
You star as the unfortunate Ash, who's once again swapped Superstore clerking for chopping up zombie deadites. This time round, it's the city of Dearborn that requires his zombie-slaying prowess. Ash roams the evil-infested streets, battling dozens of foes at once.
Cool.
This adventure benefits from a constantly unfolding story and involving puzzle-solving elements. The arsenal of weapons is overwhelming. Ash's ability to use melee weapons while shooting firearms from his other hand makes for some cheerfully sadistic combos. But that said, the finished product still doesn't quite cut the mustard. While the movies add up to something greater than the sum of their parts, this plays like an old Amiga game. The gameplay is repetitive and the background visuals are blander than a hospital corridor. Still, there's always that excellent chainsaw move to fall back on. At last, somebody's figured out what's... Red Faction 2 is a Johnny-come-lately if ever we saw one. It spent 6 months getting cozy with the Sony crowd before swanning onto Xbox. Although the game now sports extra multiplayer maps, it's crucially lacking the Xbox Live dimension it surely deserves.
Complete to Charlie Delta 09er. Don't have a clear firing lane. You must take out those towers.
The game begins promisingly with the dramatic storming of a military compound. It's sink or swim time, and like all first-person shooters, the first half an hour is critical, because at the end of it you'll discover whether you're going to get on with the controls. Easily the most exciting feature is being able to shoot holes in walls using your rocket launcher. Destroy a wall section and it stays smashed, even if you look away or leave the area. Like crisp £50 notes, rockets and grenades are your passport to fun. Walls teeter before crumpling to the ground. Dismembered chunks of enemies are catapulted every which way. Sheets of wrecked concrete create new pathways. Twisted metal lies strewn over your playground, and newly opened routes lay open, ready to explore. What doesn't work nearly as well is the story, which struggles with brief and uninspired cutscenes. You just don't feel for your guy, and your squad comes across as rejects from a cartoon strip, with no depth or real character. It's all macho power statements and let's do this for our dead buddy fake sentiment. Red Faction 2 is still a decent game, and manages to push many of the right buttons. It's just a shame that the makers thought they didn't have to make too much of an effort to enhance the game for its appearance on Xbox.
A hero desires a sword, and a sword desires truth.
The hero seeks a sword, and a sword seeks the truth, says the gravelled voice announcer at the beginning of a match. No, don't worry, you've not entered your local Games Workshop. This is Soul Calibur 2. You're in for a complete and utter treat. The concept of characters using weapons instantly gives this game a more thrilling and appealing aspect than most fisty fighters. Fight! Cleaving someone with an axe will always be more satisfying than slapping someone about. Plus it means that your on-screen fighter spins and slashes and swirls their blade about the place like a pole dancing helicopter. The fighters move incredibly well, with jaw-wobbling grace as well as realism, and to devastating effect as they unleash some of the most impressive moves you've ever seen in a video game. They're deeply detailed too, covered in jazzy, colourful and cool-looking bits of armour. This isn't like most beat-em-ups where a common current of strategy and technique runs through each and every character. It's more like Virtua Fighter, where the techniques at your disposal are as unique as the weapon in your calloused hand. You'll notice yourself become more skilled with practice, able to take down button bashers with considerable ease. And seeing two experienced players go at it with their fighters of choice is a real crowd pleaser. It's fluid, extremely responsive, and easily the best beat-em-up on Xbox.